You already believe someone is keeping score. Not consciously, but somewhere in you there's a ledger. Somebody cuts you off in traffic, and a small, quiet part of you files it away and waits. And when something goes wrong for that person later, you feel it. That little click of recognition. That's karma. And here's the strange part. The click is real. Something is keeping score. It just isn't the universe. Karma usually gets filed under things you either believe or you don't. A matter of faith, outside the reach of evidence. It isn't. For more than 40 years, mathematicians, economists, and psychologists have been running experiments on exactly this question. Does treating people well actually come back to you? They have an answer. They can measure it and switch it off and watch cooperation collapse. So here's the question this video answers. If nothing cosmic is watching, why does being good pay at all? The answer is arithmetic, gossip, and a punishment people are willing to pay for. Start with why this is even a puzzle. Natural selection isn't sentimental. If helping someone costs you and you get nothing back, that behavior should die out. And yet, people help strangers constantly. So in 1980, a political scientist named Robert Axelrod turned the question into a competition. Submit a program. It plays one simple game against all the others, over and over. Cooperate or betray. Betrayal always pays more in a single round. 14 programs arrived. The winner was 4 lines of Fortran sent in by a mathematician called Anatole Rappaport. And it barely did anything. It cooperated on the first move. After that, it copied whatever you did last time. Be decent to it, and it's decent forever. Cross it once, and it crosses you straight back. Axelrod ran it again. 62 entries, everyone knowing what had won. Rappaport sent the same 4 lines. It won again. But look at what that strategy needs. It needs you to meet the same person twice. And most of the good you'll ever do is for people you'll never see again. So how does being good pay when there's no second meeting? In 1998, Martin Nowak and Carl Sigmund published a model with one deceptively simple move in it. Stop requiring that I help whoever helped me. Let me help whoever helped someone else. They called it image scoring. You carry a score, not a cosmic one, a social one. It goes up when people see you help and down when they see you refuse. Cooperation survives because helping buys you a reputation, and the reputation is what gets repaid. That's a model. 2 years later, Klaus Wedekind and Manfred Milinski ran it on real people, and it held. Donations went more often to receivers who had been generous to others. And then there's the transmission system, the one we all use and nobody admits to. Gossip. When people see someone behave badly, they pass it on, even when passing it on costs them something. Give a group the power to gossip and to exclude, and cooperation climbs. Reputation explains why you'd want a good name. It doesn't explain why anyone would pay to enforce one. That's the next experiment, and it's the strangest. In 2002, Ernst Fair and Simon Gechter put 240 students in Zurich into groups of 4. Everyone gets 20 tokens. Put any of it into a shared pot that pays out to everybody. The selfish move is obvious. Keep yours, live off theirs. Without punishment, it collapsed. Round by round, contributions fell, and in the final round, nearly 6 in 10 put in nothing at all. Then they added one option. You may spend your own money to take money of someone else. 1 token of yours destroys 3 of theirs. You gain nothing. And here's the design that matters. Nobody ever played the same person twice. No revenge, no reputation to build. It should never happen. More than 8 in 10 of them did it anyway. And cooperation didn't just hold, it climbed. So there is a real machine here. Reputation, gossip, and people who will pay out of their own pocket to punish a stranger. That is what you're feeling when you say, that's karma. But here's the turn. Believing the machine is cosmic has a price, and it lands on the wrong people. In 1966, Melvin Lerner and Carolyn Simmons sat 72 students at the University of Kentucky down to watch a young woman in a learning experiment. Every time she made a mistake, she appeared to take a painful electric shock. It was staged. She was never hurt. They didn't know that. Afterwards, they were asked what they thought of her. The ones who believed they'd have to keep watching and were powerless to stop it didn't pity her. They rejected her. They judged her less worthy, as though she had earned it. And it was strongest when she seemed to be suffering for their benefit. Tell them she'd be compensated, and it disappeared. So, Is there a science behind karma? Yes, and it's better than the myth. The score is real. It's kept by the people around you, in what they notice and what they repeat, and enforced by people willing to lose something to make a point. That's why being good pays, not because the universe is watching, because they are. Which is exactly why that last part matters. The moment something bad happens to someone and you feel that quiet click, that's karma. The ledger you're reading from doesn't exist. 3,000 years ago, Egyptian scribes drew a set of scales and put a human heart on one side. We have been drawing that picture ever since. Nobody is holding the scales. We are.